So I think the game is right now, how do you look at the current landscape of recruiting? Because you got to recruit every day. Recruiting's got to be your number one thing. So how can we continue to move forward as a university?
All right, Joe Reich back for round two.
Round two,
season
baby.
preview
Bring it
for
on.
what are we going into? 24-25 season.
Right.
Athletic director. This is your first official full year of
Full
being.
year, yeah.
Yeah.
Of just being the athletic director.
Yes.
Last year was the AD and football coach.
Yeah. That's got to be a rough
Yeah.
life. I'm sure your wife is appreciative.
Yeah,
of,
she definitely is.
Yeah. So right now we're in summer. Kids are getting ready to come back next week, starting fall camp. What's the status of Wingate University Athletics going into the year?
I think we're good. I think the every year brings new challenges. Every year brings certain things that when you look at it, you're like, okay, where are the issues going to come from? You know what I mean? Like when you're looking through the year, when I was a football coach, it was the same thing. So there's a lot of similarities in how you look at it. I think we are poised and in good position right now to have another good year. There's always the barbarians are always at the gate kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's always every team is there hunting for you, but we'll try to stay on the hunt. I feel like our fall sports, led by cross country, coming off a national championship last year. Talking to Paul and to Matt, those guys feel pretty fired up about the year, the potential of the year. They bring a lot of people back. So they feel like they could be back in that same position. Everything has to go to win a national championship in anything. The ball has to bounce your way, and it did last year. Yep. They feel like they'll be in a position again, and if the ball bounces the right way, they have a chance of potentially winning again. So they're kind of the feature going into the fall kind of thing. Soccer with Gary Hamill, you always got a chance to win a national championship when you got Gary Hamill at the helm. He has been an unbelievable amount of help to me personally, professionally, in being the athletic director, and just the things that he's been able to do within the athletic department to get us, to help keep us at the level that we've been at. So I'm excited about, now going into the fall. We promoted Coach Hamill. We added work to him.
Right.
We made him associate AD for project management because he's so tied in with things being the mayor as well. So our sports performance program, our beach volleyball courts, which we're about to start building.
Nice.
Any kind of project like that, he's tied into, and he's just, wow, what a wealth of knowledge. You don't realize that, I was like, yeah, he's the soccer coach. And then you start talking about these projects and all the stuff that he knows from being the mayor, and like, wow, this guy is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I thought you were just kicking a ball out there, but no. You get a lot more going on.
He really does.
Yeah.
He's just fascinating to sit and listen to and talk. When he gets in those meetings, he's really, guy's a wealth of knowledge. So that's great. And then obviously you start looking at volleyball and tech and the team she's got coming back, and you're excited about that. And
they've always got a shot to win conference.
They've always got a shot of really doing it and going on. I think Tech is just going to continue to get better as a head coach. And adding Coach Lauren Dean as an assistant, I think she's going to really do some great things. Her dad's a football coach, so not that I'm biased on that, but and then obviously you got football, and I think I've said this before when we talked before. I mean, Rashawn Jordan is one of the he's one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. The guy's a football guy through and through. So I'm really excited to see what football can do. I think there's always this level of, when you've had a coach that's been the head coach for 23 years and then he moves on, there's always, I think, an excitement around the program to that this new energy, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm excited.
Walking in there, it's different. There is a different kind of energy in there. You
No
get
doubt.
a guy like Coach Jordan and Coach Knight who are kind of at the forefront of kind of that. Those guys they got some energy. They got a little juice to them.
Yeah, they have. That's exactly right. That's a great way of putting it. They really do that. And I said it to Rasan before. I said, look, I'm not offended. Like I want you to win the national championship, and I want people to be like, you're the next best thing kind of thing, or the next great thing. And I really feel like they have the potential to do that. They have a good team coming back. Football is always one of those games where if you can stay healthy, you got a chance. So I think that's going to be the trick: staying healthy, make sure your best players play great, and they got a chance of being very successful. So
fall looks good. I mean,
fall does look good.
And the thing is, fall's usually some of our better sports.
Yeah.
Your goal at Wingate is you never want to be the worst team, and it's really hard to not be the worst team because everyone's really good.
Right.
And sometimes it's like, well, the worst team is second in conference.
Yeah.
So, our fall is really, really strong sports, especially, 2 teams within the past 10 years that have won a national championship.
Right.
Right. Lot to be excited for.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. The other team right now that's up and coming is field hockey.
Oh yeah.
And that's the one
they are super highly ranked for a while, right?
Yeah, well, no, they're a fairly new program. So they had 4 wins last year. But they're going to be that much better. Like you can see the how they're building and coming up on it. And Coach Cat is Coach Catland is phenomenal. I think she's going to really do a good job. I think she's done it the right way. She hasn't rushed in and got a bunch of transfers or anything like that. She's tried to build with younger recruits coming up. So this will be the first year, I think, when she's got all the way through. She's got people all the way through.
Usually that 4th year is when you really see a turn.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. That'll be the other one I'm really looking to see. So sorry to interrupt, John.
No. It's fascinating. Like there's so many sports here that are new that I didn't even get to watch. I mean, it's like I know about field hockey. Could I go out and watch a game? Yeah, I'd love it. Do I know the rules? No. I mean, lacrosse, yeah, it's super fun. Don't really know the rules, but I kind of like it. Right. It looks fun.
Yeah.
So, seeing all these new sports come in, beach volleyball, it's another one where it's brand new. It's getting started. And it's like, well, we see it in the Olympics and everyone can play volleyball, but seeing it at a high level is really different. Like it's super interesting to watch, these guys at really, really high levels of something that just normal people can play. Yeah. I think that's like the fascination with playing golf and basketball, because you can go out and do that at any point. But when you see the professionals play it, it's like, oh, I can get a sense of how good they actually are.
Sure. Well, it's interesting because you mentioned beach, and that's going to be really exciting with Hannah Givens as the new head coach there. They'll start in the spring. I'm really, when we brought her back, because she played here, she played volleyball here, but she was coaching beach and regular volleyball at the last place she was at. And she is a crowd favorite. I mean, we brought her back. It was like, everybody was excited. And the other fall sport that, and they kind of fall. Their championship is in the fall, but they kind of go year round a bit. Is triathlon, and so the women's triathlon team. Our men's triathlon team is more in the spring, but that's technically a club sport because that's the way they do in triathlon. They've been really, really good. And it's a little different in triathlon with the way things are ranked, and everything's kind of in one division, which is interesting because it's an emerging sport. You have all of the divisions playing. It'll eventually divide up. So we're in there competing against these Division 1 schools, and we're competing against them. We've finished second in the nation. We've got Nick Rakowitz, the head coach there, is a former Olympian.
It's a pretty good guy to have telling you what to do.
I'm saying when that guy talks, you're going to listen. So it watching what triathlon will do, and so I think those are the things that are exciting. We've been pretty good at the sports that a lot of people know, but we'd like to get really good at some of the sports that are more up and coming, and beach volleyball, triathlon.
Well, it seems like we've added all the Olympic sports that we didn't have before, rather than like the American traditional sports.
Yeah.
And those are really fun, especially with the Olympics going on right now. It's really fun to watch. Everyone knows what it is. So I'm actually curious as to how it's going to be perceived coming back, since the Olympics are going on now. Everyone's learning about how it operates because they're watching it. And now when they come back and see these sports that they kind of just remembered.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to be perceived.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
There's always a little bounce coming off the Olympics for those Olympic sports. So,
that'll be fun.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Before we move on, let's talk about another sponsor of the OneDog Podcast, and that is Weber Marketing. Yes, my marketing company is a sponsor of the OneDog Podcast. We do video production for podcasts just like this, from the production, the editing, the posting, all of that fun stuff that goes into growing a small business through a video podcast. We also do a lot of coaching and consulting to help businesses focus on growth. So if you own a small business and you want to grow, check out webermarketing.com. So kind of transitioning into a weird thing,
okay.
The NIL.
Oh boy.
I think you and I have the same opinion on the NIL,
right?
But it's a big monster, but it's a monster you kind of need to play with.
Yeah.
It's something that at Division II is probably not as prevalent as the big schools where you hear these guys getting $1 million contracts and this and that. But
right.
We are having students that are getting approached by businesses and sponsors that
yes, we are.
And get NIL deals. And so, we talked and, we developed the OneDog Collective.
Yep.
And so kind of give everyone, if they don't know what the NIL is, the quick
Sure.
rundown and dirty, and we'll talk about what we can do with Wingate.
Absolutely. And I'll give you I'll give you the little bit of difference between Division I and Division II. Division I just passed rules where essentially they can control everything. They can, the NIL, they're hiring basically general managers to say, okay, we want to pay this player this amount, and they can just, you don't have to hide it anymore, essentially. In Division II, we can't necessarily control the narrative. So you as the head of our NIL, which I'll explain in a second, as the head of our collective, I can't tell you, we want you to pay this volleyball player this amount at this time. Like we're not allowed to, like we can't orchestrate that. But we can do a lot of other things. So the collective, for everybody's knowledge, so there's two ways in Division II that you run it. Typically what you do is you have a marketplace where, we hire a company that does sets up a marketplace for our students. So they connect potential restaurants and businesses and all that. They connect them with our students, and we literally have nothing to do with that. But we set it up, and then they will set up a marketplace where if a restaurant says, if Dave's Pizza down in Marshville says, okay, I want this student athlete to get on, I want them to do some social media posts for us. They'll contact that student athlete, and this service puts it together, and that student athlete can get paid for putting on something on social media.
Right.
That's the easy way. And then on top of that, we developed a collective, OneDog Collective, with the idea that we'll get other companies that will just say, companies or individuals that say, I know I want to give money towards helping, give some money to our players. So they will, they'll just give money to the collective, and without necessarily, there's not necessarily a business relationship there. They just want to be involved. So then the collective can then say, okay, there has to be some kind of work reciprocal. So we could say, you could say to somebody, all right, I want you to come on the OneDog Podcast, or just say, hey, welcome to the OneDog Podcast. And essentially you could pay them for that. So there's a work contract that we have to come up with that says this student athlete is getting paid by the collective for this work.
Right.
And for this appearance or that so name, image, and likeness kind of thing, which I think is great.
Yeah.
We're not like a Division I school with the millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
But you know what? We got guys that will get, all right, I'm going to get, I'm going to get books out of this. I'm going to get a couple nights of dinner out of that.
Yeah.
This next
I mean,
paycheck.
that's huge. It's like, we go to, everyone that's listening has been to Wingate.
Yeah.
It's not like we've got tons and tons of restaurants right around here. We've got a couple.
Right.
So we pretty much go to the cafeteria for everything. And so if you can go out 2 or 3 times to a nicer restaurant that you've earned from doing, the NIL stuff or however you earned it, well, that's fun. It's great. It makes your experience even better. No doubt.
And I think the other, so for us is as we get alums or friends of the program that say, yeah, I think this is something I want to get involved in, then they know, okay, they can send money to the collective, and then the collective is responsible for doing the rest of that. And it just gives us alternatives,
Yeah. No. And so, we developed the OneDog Collective. I am technically the head of it.
Yes, you are.
Really, all I'm doing is making sure that everyone does exactly what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm the biggest pass-through guy that there is. It's like, hey, you do this, we're good.
Right.
But ultimately, we want to help support our student athletes here at Wingate to the best of our abilities. So anybody that wants to support, obviously athletics, we have the Bulldog Club to support overall athletics. But if you want to support the players individually, then the OneDog Collective is where you can talk to. And there's plenty of opportunities. I am a business guy through and through. So if you have ideas where you want to do stuff like that, awesome. I will come up with the best idea for you to be able to use the students, get them paid, and also benefit you, whoever donated and supported them as well.
Right.
So, that's kind of a cool thing. It's unique. I think LR is the only other one in our conference that has it. So, something that's trying to help Wingate stand out and give back to our players and keep people here.
Yeah.
I mean, when we have kids that are freshmen and sophomore that are doing really well, they're getting approached by these bigger schools. The transfer portal is a real thing. It's an issue for a small school trying to keep people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No
didn't
doubt.
we have a guy that got drafted this past year that started here and then transferred out to a D1 school? He was a receiver or something. He played at
Jalen Brooks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So he started here and then transferred out to a
started
bigger
here,
school.
transferred out, went to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And
then
ended
got
up playing
drafted.
there, got drafted by in fact, he got drafted shortly after Ethan Evans got drafted.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing like them shaking hands or something. Or
the preseason game they had to play, or a game during the year they ended up playing. Yeah, which was neat.
Like that's the thing. Like we recruit talent that could have went to South Carolina and is going to the NFL. So, being able to keep them here because we have our NIL and we've got our, marketplace and stuff like that. If our businesses and donors want to support stuff like that, we would love to keep these guys here as long as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
It's great.
That's a great way of putting it. And I think you're a great guy to be the head of the collective, because I think, you have such a business sense. And I think that was really important, trying to find the right guy for that particular venture. Because you do have a passion for this place, and in the fact that you have such a business mind and creative mind. It doesn't hurt that your wife's a lawyer. That's not a
having someone to look over contracts is not a bad thing.
Yeah, that wasn't something we overlooked in the deal. So it's pretty fun. I think you're the perfect guy to run it, and I think ultimately we go through the compliance. Erica Torres Peterson is our compliance director, and we run everything by her to make sure that we're making sure that we're doing things the right way, and it'll be interesting to see as the landscape continues to develop in Division I. There were some real bombshells dropped at the time of this taping, the day before.
Yeah, very very recent.
I mean, multiple things with the NIL stuff, with
recruiting,
with NIL and NLI, with the national letters of intent, they're essentially going away. So it's like open season.
Yeah.
There's basically no recruiting calendar anymore. I mean, all this stuff was just dropped on us in just recently.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, recover to a certain
absorb
extent.
it and say, what the heck is this?
Totally absorb it and say, okay, where do we go from here? What's the new model? And so I think the game is right now, how do you look at the current landscape of recruiting? Because you got to recruit every day. Recruiting's got to be your number one thing. So when you look at the current landscape of recruiting, it's uncharted waters. So how can we continue to move forward as a university and stay at the leading edge of that as we head into this next phase of whatever this is? You know what I mean?
So you've got about 6 to 8 months under your belt of officially like, hey, I'm only the AD, not trying to do 4 things at once.
Yep.
What's been the most challenging thing for you to kind of get your handle on of transitioning from a one sport coach to the entire athletic program?
Yeah, I'm going to multiple answers there. So the ability, I'm going to say the thing that has been really cool. So when you were a kid, you probably played multiple sports.
Yep.
You name it, you play it.
Yep.
You go out there and you have fun. Well, the last 36 years of my life as a coach have been one sport, total, all-consuming,
And it's interesting because it's only a male sport.
It's only a male sport.
I bet that's huge.
Yes, absolutely. To all consuming. And can I tell you, it's been a blast.
Learning about all these.
Going back, and I feel like a little kid to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching baseball games, I'm watching softball games. I'm getting it's like getting it's like going Back to the Future, kind of like going back to the past,
right?
And saying, yeah, I remember when I was younger, I loved all these sports, and I loved watching this, and I loved watching that. It's really reinvigorated me in a lot of ways and saying, this is really cool.
Yeah, I can tell. Every time we talk, you're like talking about one of these other sports. I'm like, I didn't even know we had that here. Yeah. And you're so excited about it. I'm like, but football, coach? And you're like, no, whatever. Yeah, they're good. They're fine.
I'm telling you, it's been really exciting. Just like I said, I went to so many games in the spring, and I'm looking forward to the fall to be able to do a number of different things. So that's been really exciting. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest challenge, and I think this is no surprise to anybody in any business anywhere, is the financial end of it.
Yeah.
Getting, I was a math major in college, so it's not like I'm afraid of numbers.
Right.
But holy smokes, between, the budget the numbers are big, and they're like, oh man. And then you're trying to figure out how this affects that and net tuition revenue. And then I'll say this. So obviously at schools like us, meeting the enrollment goals are always huge. Mm-hmm. So athletics plays a large part in that. We'll have close to 900 student athletes this year. So that's a big thing. And if I can tell you, I sit on enrollment meetings with Eva Balcom and James Ambrose, and Sam Petoskey and some of our other people, and how proactive they are. And like, I'm figuring, it's admissions, it's financial aid. They're just kind of doing their thing.
Yeah,
but their analytical approach leaves me in the dust. I mean, like I sit there and they're talking about all these different factors and statistics and probabilities and this person and that and this, this person and that, and we can give this person this financial aid package and we can present this one. And I'm like, man, you lost me 50 minutes ago.
I was here at the welcome. Hello.
Yeah, and it's really cool to watch in terms of the depth of what they do. Is impressive.
It probably gives you such a unique appreciation of, you're so much more involved with like the athletic or the academics now and
yes.
President and stuff like that, rather than like, just staying down at the football. And you were good about getting around campus, but
right.
It's so much different when you're like, I didn't know we were this in depth for
right.
academics and admissions and housing and all these things that align with still athletics.
It really gives you a total appreciation. I always respected the rest of campus for what they do, but now I get the inner workings, particularly of that group. Mm. And it's impressive. I mean, I'll give you an example. With the FAFSA reform being delayed this last year, our people were like, we're not going to wait. We're going to go out and start awarding packages based off of all these different statistics, and they were really super proactive about it. And again, at the timing of this recording, it's a few weeks before the students are supposed to report, and we're in pretty good shape right now. And if those numbers hold, we're expecting a little bit of those numbers hold. It's all good. So I'd say the biggest challenge is just continuing to learn. Like, I don't want to just sit by and be a guy in the room. Like, I want to be involved. Like, if I'm hearing these numbers, I'm like, okay, I want to know what those numbers are. So like, I'll call them individually outside the meeting, offline a little bit, and be like, okay, tell me about these numbers. I don't mind looking bad. I'm going to ask, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do you?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, like, I'm trying to learn all of that so that I can be a participating.
Yeah, you'd be an asset
member.
rather
yes,
than
I can
just
be an
kind
asset.
of
That's exactly right. And I think I can be, but I don't want to say something stupid. I want to get in there and make sure that I know what the heck I'm talking about. So those numbers part of it, and the budget, and just making sure that the financial health of the university, we have to take that into account. And when you're a coach and an athletic director, you want to win. Like, it's win, 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 win.
Yeah.
And that's the number thing. But when you now, as an administrator and being involved in all those financial things, it's like, okay, we need to make sure that we balance the budget first.
Yeah.
And you see how important that is. And now now I realize after 23 years of being a head coach, why they would always wanted certain things. Like, Okay, now I know. Now I know. And, if I'd known that back when I was coaching.
You're calling Steve Post like, hey, I gave you that hard time about this.
That's
I'm
exactly
sorry.
right. I now need to go back and apologize to Steve Poston for literally everything I've said to him over the last 23 years because I'm like, oh, that's why he said that to me.
Now Coach Jordan's doing the same thing.
That's exactly right. And now, but now I know what he's seeing, so I can be like, hey, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
super interesting hearing, your transition because you're living a whole new life.
Right.
Like you are completely learning all these new skills and honing these new skills that it's, you can tell like it's exciting for you. And there's a lot more that's to come once you're still learning. So once you actually get a grasp, even like where you feel real comfortable, can't imagine what we're going to do.
Right.
There's a lot of really positive things that are going to happen.
There's no doubt. I'm excited about it. I think, I'm glad I stepped into the role. I'm glad Heather Miller gave me the opportunity, and Rep Brown, Dr. Brown gave me the opportunity. And I'm excited about what the future can bring. And I hope I can continue to do this for a long time and do my best at it.
Yeah, no. People that are wanting to help out the athletic program or what can they do? We're always in need of something.
Sure.
Obviously we can sustain ourselves, but everybody, the more help we get, the better the program, the school, the athletes can do. So what are some things that we can get to help?
Sure. Absolutely. I think the big thing is, we'll always take your money.
Yep.
And I think that, we fund about 15% of our budget.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, we from fundraising, each sport raises about 15% of what was their budget.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a little more than that when you ultimately figure it out. It's 15% and then anything on top of that. Mm-hmm. We use a little bit of that for salaries, not a lot, but over the years as our salaries have grown, not necessarily the institution's finances haven't. So there's been a little bit of that. So there are multiple ways there. There's the collective, which I think is huge because that goes, that's going to go directly to our student athletes and in their pockets. So that's a great thing. And then, if you go to our website, if you go to wingate.edu and go to athletics or wingatebulldogs.com, on there's a giving page and there is, you can pretty much give to any sport. And at that point, 100% goes to those sports. So if you go on and you want to give to triathlon, it's going to, that 100% of, whatever you give on that gift is going into their fundraising and it goes directly to triathlon or football or wherever you choose. So that's exciting. I think general athletics, we get some people that will donate to just general athletics. It's kind of what we used to call unrestricted.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we'll just give it to. That's good too. That doesn't hurt, just because it gives us the ability to move it around where we need it.
Yep. And then probably the Bulldog Club is the next biggest thing.
Bulldog Club is huge, and we're going to make a drive and a membership drive for that pretty soon. But I think also on there when you're giving money, part of that is giving money in joining the Bulldog Club. So that will be represented on Bill Nash handles that, and that would be fantastic. Any money like that you can give, so there's multiple ways. There's the Bulldog Club. There's directly to the programs. There's to the NIL collective. It's exciting. We definitely we can't survive as an athletic program. We can't be a national contender without the money that we raise. There's no way. And I can tell you, talking to the other athletic directors in our league, because we talk a lot and we share a lot of information, and everybody's in the same boat. Like everybody's, probably funding 15% to 20% of their budgets, asking for money. So there's you can't survive without the generous donations of people that just love Wingate athletics, and that's. Fortunately, we've been able to raise a decent amount of money, and that's only hopefully continue to go up.
Yeah, no, I think, if you haven't been by campus lately, there's a alumni that has built the what are we calling it over here? The community house?
The Wingate Social House.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like it was closed. We just went by for lunch. It was closed because it's middle of the week. Why would they be open in the middle of the day? But it's going to be really cool. I think that's going to be a really good opportunity for people to come in and hang out. The Bulldog Club do events over there. So
I totally agree. That's going to be that's a big thing for us. We've already had a number of our coaches went over there last week, met the owners.
Yeah.
It's supposedly really, really cool inside. So
it turns out they live like right down the road from me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That helps.
Yeah. So
there you go.
We're
I
like,
it.
We're going to hang out now. Yeah. So I think that's a really interesting thing for the schools. I think when you get the people back on campus, the alumni, we have a place to go that's close and local and tied to the school.
Yes.
We're trying to make Wingate University kind of this Main Street feel where it's almost, I live in Davidson. So Davidson College, it's like Main Street is a town in the college. And they're doing a lot of that here, which is really, really
and
fun.
we have a lot more plans. The town has a lot more plans going all the way down Main Street down to the bypass. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a lot of development. There's going to be a triangle park that they're working on. You got to work through some legislation things yet, but the little triangle there up by the stadium that you would be aware of, that is going to be hopefully like a triangle park. So when you come off of the bypass, it's the first thing you see when you come onto Wingate's campus. And that whole then the whole Main Street down the street all the way down to the social house is going to be is going to be developed, and they're putting houses in behind it and apartments, and it should be really, really nice.
Yeah, I golfed at the what was it, the President's Cup that I did, and my partner was it was James Ambrose?
James Bullock or
James Bullock, that's who it was. I'm like, it was James.
He's director of advancement.
Yeah, and he was telling me all about this and the zoning, and that's where my wife cut her teeth in law. So she was like, "This is the coolest thing ever. I want to help out." Like she did zoning for Costco to come to Mooresville. So she's like, "This is super cool. I need to talk to this guy." And then when she went to the alumni event and talked to him, she was like, "This guy's my hero. Like we're going to be best friends." So
that's awesome. Yeah, James does a great job.
Yeah, hearing all of the future development, it's like, oh my gosh, Wingate's going to be a really, really cool place to be.
With the bypass, with the housing developments that they're going in, what's always prevented Wingate in the past from putting in things like that was the lack of people. Like any restaurant we put in here couldn't survive over the summer because there was nobody here.
Right.
But now with the development, like if you go down Wilson Street and take a right on one of the roads back there, they're putting in a huge housing development. They're going to be putting in apartments back here over behind the campus over here, and then down Main Street they'll be building a bunch of. So there are so many housing developments going in because you can get from the stadium to 485 in 15 minutes. If you go down 74, it's going to take you 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So in theory, think about, that 485 is in Matthews basically. So you could, in theory, work in Matthews. The houses are kind of expensive in Matthews. You could live here in Wingate and commute there and be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's ideal.
It's totally ideal.
Yeah.
It's housing a lot more affordable out here. So we're anticipating, the university is anticipating that this area is just going to explode out here. And I think so now it's like, okay, get people in, get them on board. We got Founders Federal Credit Union coming in, more partnering with them. James Bullock, as you mentioned, is looking around, looking for more partnerships. It's exciting times.
Yeah.
It's also nerve-wracking too, because everything has to kind of fall the right way. And you want it to happen now. Like, let's go, let's get all built. But it's
a hurry up and wait.
It's a hurry up and wait. We're waiting for this permitting and we're waiting for this. And it's going to be really exciting. It just may take a couple of years to kind of all work itself out.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate you sitting down and telling us the status of the athletic department for the season. If you want to donate to the Bulldog Club or a specific sport, go on wingatebulldogs.com, find that form. Always helpful for the athletic department and the student athletes. If you want to donate to the OneDog Collective, we will certainly help those guys out. But exciting times around Wingate, and we appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate everything you do.
Yep.